Growth did not feel inspiring to Nhật, the way people online often described it. It felt confusing, slow, and sometimes lonely. It asked him to leave behind familiar habits, familiar thoughts, even familiar versions of himself. And one warm evening, as the last sunlight rested softly across his notebook, he began to understand something important. Growth often feels uncomfortable, not because something is wrong, but because your life is quietly becoming too small for who you are learning to be. Nhật had imagined growth as a kind of visible improvement, a clearer path, better habits, more confidence, a stronger version of himself emerging in a way that would feel satisfying and clean. But lately, the process of changing felt nothing like that. He felt unsettled more often than inspired. Certain old routines no longer fit, but new ones were not yet stable. Some relationships felt different. Certain goals no longer excited him in the same way. Even the way he spent his evenings had begun to shift, leaving him in an in-between space that felt difficult to explain. He was no longer exactly who he had been, but he was not yet comfortable in who he was becoming. That in-between place can be lonely, because growth is often celebrated from the outside, after it becomes visible. But from the inside, it can feel like shedding skin in a room where no one can see what is changing except you. That evening, Nhật sat at his desk while the room was lit by the last warm light of day. The desk looked almost exactly as it always had, same notebook, same lamp, same scattered pens. But he did not feel exactly the same sitting there. He had been irritated with himself all week, too restless to enjoy old distractions, too uncertain to fully trust new instincts. He kept wanting to arrive at some clearer version of himself and felt frustrated that the process was taking this long. He opened the notebook and wrote, "Why does growth feel so uncomfortable?" Then he answered, "Because I want clarity before the process is finished. Because I miss the ease of old habits. Because becoming new also means losing something familiar. Because I keep expecting transformation to feel clean. Because I don't know how to trust the in-between." He paused there. I don't know how to trust the in-between. That felt true far beyond this one evening. Much of his discomfort was not only about change itself. It was about being between identities, between old patterns and new rhythms, between past certainties and future alignment, between who he had been and who he was slowly, awkwardly becoming. He turned the page. What if discomfort is part of growth, not proof against it? The question gave the room more space. He wrote slowly, "Maybe outgrowing old things is supposed to feel strange. Maybe I do not need to rush into a finished version of myself. Maybe confusion can be a sign that something is shifting. Maybe the old life feels smaller because I am changing. Maybe growth asks for patience with the unfinished." The light on the desk deepened into amber. Outside, evening sounds grew softer, farther away. Nhật realized that he had been speaking to himself, as though growth should already look polished. But real growth, at least in private life, often looks messy and almost invisible. It looks like being less able to enjoy things that once numbed you. It looks like noticing habits that no longer feel honest. It looks like wanting more depth, more peace, more alignment, before knowing exactly how to build them. That discomfort is not always regression. Sometimes it is evidence that your inner life has begun refusing what no longer fits. He wrote 3 lines at the bottom of the page. "Do not run back to the familiar just because it is familiar. Let this version of me remain unfinished tonight. Trust what is quietly changing." Something in his body loosened when he wrote that. For the first time in days, he stopped demanding arrival. He stopped asking growth to prove itself in immediately visible ways. Instead, he honored the fact that some changes are subtle at first, internal, root-like. Their evidence appears later, after enough quiet choices have gathered. In the days that followed, he treated the in-between more gently. He let certain old routines fall away without rushing to replace them with perfect new ones. He used the notebook to track what felt more true now, even if it was still fragile. He spent more evenings in calmer ways. He allowed himself not to know exactly what he was becoming, and gradually the discomfort changed shape. It became less like anxiety and more like stretching, less like failure and more like expansion. He was still unfinished, still uncertain, still growing. But now he understood that this was not a problem to eliminate. It was the process itself. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it asks you to live for a while inside unfinished form. You may no longer fit the old version of your life, but the new version has not fully settled yet. That can feel disorienting, lonely, unclear. But not all discomfort means danger. Sometimes it means this: your inner life is asking for more honesty, your habits are being rearranged, your heart is becoming less willing to live in what no longer fits. A quiet room, a notebook, a few truthful lines in warm evening light. This may not look like transformation from the outside, but often this is exactly what transformation looks like from within. Not polished, not complete, just real. And perhaps that is enough for tonight. If this spoke to you, comment, "I can trust the in-between." Subscribe for more warm, reflective life stories about healing, growth, and quiet becoming.